지산도원TV에서 국제정세와 정치사회적 이슈와 관련된 주제로 이제 대담을 나누고 있는 이마누엘 페스트라이시 박사님, 한국명으로는 이마nuel 박사님께서 2024년 올해 11월에 있는 미국 대통령 선거에 무소속 후보로 출마를 하셨습니다. 지난 8월 25일에 일본 도쿄에서 그 출마 선언을 하셨고, 거기서 출마 선언문 낭독한 영상을 한국어 자막과 함께 이제 올려드립니다. 이마nuel 박사님은 여러분들도 잘 알듯이 하버드 대학교에서 이제 동양문화로 박사학위를 받았고, 한국어, 일본어, 중국어에 아주 능통한 미국인으로서는 아주 드문 동아시아 전문가입니다. 또 그와 함께 이제 국제 문제에도 많은 이제 관심을 가지고 기후 변화, 또 중동 평화, 그리고 우리 한국 사람들에게 아주 중요한 지정학적 주제인 이 한반도 통일에 대해서도 굉장히 폭넓고 깊은 식견을 가지고 또 한반도 통일을 위해서도 이제 애쓰고 있습니다. 오늘 이제 보시면 아시겠지만 이 출마 선언에는 이제 미국 대통령 후보로서 미국의 정치, 사회, 경제 문제만 언급하고 있지 않고요. 최근 이제 그 위기가 고조되고 있는 이스라엘 이란 전쟁과 또 디지털 기술 발전으로 인한 이제 미국의 대기업들, 구글이나 아마존, 페이스북, 애플과 같은 이런 다국적 정보 기술 기업들이 이제 민간 정보 기관으로서의 역할을 하면서 이제 국가의 정보 기능 또 첩보 기능을 민영화하려고 하는 문제들도 지적하고 있습니다. 이건 굉장히 중요한 문제이고요. 개인 정보들이 이제 그 전 세계의 사람들의 정보를 다 가지고 있다고 보시면 되겠습니다. 특히 이제 지난 2020년부터 전 세계를 이제 공포로 몰고 간 이제 코로나19 팬데믹에 그 정치적으로 악용된 부분들도 지적을 하고 있습니다. 결론적으로 얘기하면 이제 코로나19는 사기라는 거죠. 현재 이제 이마nuel 박사님은 이제 대통령 선거구가 이제 Fear No Evil입니다. 번역하면 이제 악을 두려워 말라인데, 이 악의 세력들이 자본과 권력, 심지어는 이제 세계보건기구나 유엔과 같은 국제기구까지 장악을 하면서, 정보기관은 말할 것도 없죠. 많은 평범한 세계 시민들에게 이제 재앙을 가져오는 프로젝트를 하고 있다라는 그 사실을 이제 직시를 하고 그 진실을 밝히는 일을 하고 있습니다. 이제 그게 악을 두려워 말라. 이제 그건데 이 Fear No Evil 국제 거버넌스에 저도 함께 하고 있고요. 사실 대한민국의 정치도 악의 세력이 준동하고 있죠. 가짜 뉴스에 소수의 광신적인 이제 정치 팬덤들을 이용해서 이제 그들을 선동해서 의회를 장악하고 또 자기의 범죄를 이제 국가 권력 체계, 정당이죠. 그런 정당으로 덮으려고 하는 그런 파렴치범들이 지금 여의도 국회에서 판을 치고 있는 그런 것들도 하나 이해가 되겠죠. 영상을 보시고 우리 이마nuel 박사님께 많은 응원의 댓글 또 응원 해주시면 감사하겠습니다.
I stand before you with great humility in the tradition of so many in history, both famous and nameless, who have been compelled by conscience, driven by moral duty, to rise above their own personal limitations and to take on the overwhelming challenges that stand in our way, to go forward, not for personal gain or glory, but for the concrete benefit, the collective benefit of those who, whether crippled by vaccines or impoverished by menial jobs, cannot do so themselves. So do I declare my candidacy for President of the United States of America as an independent for the 2024 election, with no debt to billionaires and no secret contracts with corporate media or investment banks. I will run in all seriousness for the interests of the American people and for the citizens of the world. I have no other purpose but to serve the people, not the oligarchs and not the parasites. The constitutional rights of our citizens have been trampled on by the boot of private finance and beaten to a pulp by the crude stick of corrupt politics. The resulting spiritual gangrene has spread through all the institutions of the body politic, reaching all the way to the marrow of our civilization. The slaughter of deliberative democracy and the evisceration of scientific investigation are the handiwork of a new plutocracy, self-crowned as our masters, who are busy doling out treasure to the intellectuals, the scientists, and journalists who do their bidding. I call on Americans to revive the tradition of progressive politics in the United States, to realize the full potential of our Constitution, and to pass the torch of liberty and equality previously held up by Thomas Paine, Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Susan B. Anthony, Eugene Debs, Henry Wallace, John F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. I imagine, no, I demand a campaign that will call out the big lies, that will fight for justice and transparency without exception, and give real opportunities to those who have been so long oppressed. We will form a movement that will win because we stand for moral principles and we do not bend down to collect dark money. We will not accept this bogus election in November that is being put on for entertainment by investment banks, political consulting firms, and private intelligence firms from around the world. We demand a legitimate election that is transparent and fair, in which the citizens will have accurate information at hand. We say that no man, no woman is above the law. I say no more. Like John Brown in 1859, I say slavery is not a peculiar institution, but a war of the landlord class against the citizens of our nation, then and now. I say no more. Like the leaders of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising of April 19th to May 16th, 1943, I declare that even if it needs be but a handful of brave souls, we hold that fascist government and extermination policies will be resisted at any cost, then and now. We were shocked, rendered passive and docile by the trauma of lockdowns, stupid masks, social distancing, and deadly vaccines. That trauma was reinforced by social media, action films, games, pornography, and other stimulation designed to dumb us down. There was a purpose to all that. It was to assure that no group would emerge that was capable of offering real alternatives or real opposition. What choices do we have in this election? What paltry offerings have been laid at our feet? Here we stand on August 25th, 2024, facing the overwhelming wall of unassailable authority that has been piled up by the billionaire-backed firms, Republican and Democratic conventions, orgies for corrupt souls that were intended to show you, the citizen, that no opposition will be brooked. August 25th, after all, was the date that Germany gave the formal order for the mobilization leading to the invasion of Poland in 1939, which would set off the most horrific war in history so far. We face today, whether in Ukraine or Lebanon, precisely such a moment. The U.S. political campaign that is being held by these parties is a fraud, nothing more and nothing less. And just like COVID, just like 9/11, everyone knows that it's a fraud. Kamala Harris was crowned the queen of the Democratic Party, a criminal syndicate run by private intelligence and private equity in Washington, D.C., in Tel Aviv and London for the benefit of entertainment and news networks and corporations, IT firms, parasitic government contractors, and a scattering of progressive-minded, delusional billionaires. I hope that she wears her plastic crown in good health. The Democratic Party's job today is to suppress the American people, to be the velvet glove for the steel fist of corporate power, and to serve as a graveyard for people's movements. So also, Donald Trump was crowned king of the Republican Party, another criminal syndicate infested with cat's paws of billionaires, but containing a few more military contractors, oil and coal conglomerate tycoons, real estate tycoons, big ag players, and hedge fund managers. I hope that Donald Trump enjoys his gold-plated crown. Sure, both of these sad candidates managed to mix in a little bit of truth so as to make their lies more palatable. But when it comes down to endless war, to secret governance, to the surveillance of citizens after the criminal 9/11 incident, to the destruction of our local economies, and the murder of millions using killer vaccines in the COVID-19 operation, which was run by DARPA, the pharmaceutical corporations, Mossad, and shady military intelligence entities in Germany, Australia, China, South Korea, and elsewhere. When it comes to these issues, they fall silent. Do not even ask them about the $30 trillion or more cranked out under quantitative easing, COVID relief, puffed up defense budgets, and other market stimulation frauds that was handed over to investment banks, leaving the citizens of the United States with inflation so horrific that the newspapers are afraid to talk about it. And then here, in the midst of all these untruths, we had Robert Kennedy Jr. emerge as an alternative. Maybe, we thought, he would be an oasis in this desert, the one who would march the other way as the lemmings rushed for the cliff. Sadly, Robert Kennedy could not do what he promised to do. He could not be a truth teller, he could not be a leader, and he could not take a stand. Tragically, the other day, he backed Donald Trump, who is a sad man who has himself degenerated from a rebel to a work mule for global finance, and now the two of them are planning to enter a hall of mirrors set up by billionaires and pump out a Make America Great Again campaign to deceive us, the citizens, as the nation is torn apart and sold off for scrap. Kennedy and Trump have kissed the ring of Elon Musk, the transhumanist who would destroy humanity using AI to degrade our brains, a certified psychopath who was a central figure in the COVID-19 operation. Kennedy and Trump are eating from Musk's extended hand. This must end. I had respect for the work that Mr. Kennedy did at Riverkeepers, defending the environment, and at the Children's Health Defense, fighting against the deadly vaccines. But his campaign has become a complete betrayal of the stands that he took previously. The same can be said for his unconditional surrender and his complete support for Israel, which makes it clear to everyone just how much dirt those powerful forces have on him. I will say nothing more out of respect. Cornel West and Jill Stein are candidates who are at least capable of talking about the slaughter in Gaza and the domination of multinational corporations, but they are silent as the tomb about Israel's role as a hub for the fusion of private equity, private intelligence, and global IT that has driven the COVID-19 operation. I myself am for peace, for international cooperation to address the true threats to America and to humanity of the destruction, the collapse of biodiversity, the destruction of the climate, the pollution of our oceans and rivers, the use of technology to destroy the mind, and the use of GMO weapons to destroy the plants and animals that we as humans have depended on for millions of years. But today, I come not in peace, but with a sword to cleave falsehood from truth, ritual from policy, fantasy from reality, and to do so in order that the Republic of the people, by the people, and for the people can be unshackled from the shadow empire of fake money, fake information, fake medicine, and fake food. Verily, fellow citizens, the truth shall set you free. 9/11 and COVID-19 were but the first steps in a world war, a softening up operation. To say that they were anything else is to miss the whole point, to misinform the public. The assets of the pharmaceutical firms, the banks, the trusts, and the billionaires who planned and financed these operations and those deadly vaccines will be seized to compensate those who have suffered. We reject this fake election, and we demand a transparent and legitimate election in the United States. And that special election we will propose in the next few weeks. To try and raise money today from the devious rich in order to get on the ballot is the worst thing that a candidate could possibly do with his time. A candidate, any honest citizen, first must demand the truth. We will end the drive for war and the creation of a wartime economy, a wartime authority through trickery, through a series of global secret treaties, intelligence sharing agreements, unaccountable military exercises, and the outsourcing of command and control for the military and the federal government to multinational IT companies like Oracle, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, and Google, all of which have a bloody foot planted in Israel. We will shut down these unaccountable IT financial institutions who loyally serve only a handful of multi-billionaire families. There is only one way forward, a movement in the United States and around the world for internationalism, not globalism, demanding economies, societies, and institutions focused on the citizen, devoted to peace, that respect nature, and that are powered by moral principles, not narcissism or a poisonous consumption culture. Join us today in our national and international movement, Fear No Evil, and also a Green Liberty PAC, a movement for truth, for action, and for honest governance. Fear No Evil will seek scientific truth and demand spiritual bravery that is required to transform our country and to move beyond the corporate parties and to do so without falling into the insidious traps of identity politics, racial ideology, or Starbucks, think left, live right hypocrisy. We don't need and we don't want corporate donations or TV commercials in the corrupt media. We want committed citizens, especially young people, to join our team, to spread the word in every neighborhood, and to tell us how to run our movement. A movement that will not merely tweak a broken system, that will transform everything. Please join us and help us to reimagine our country's potential. We go forward bravely and with optimism, not to make America great again, but rather to make America great for the first time. Or, as Langston Hughes put it in his poem, out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we the people must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain, all the stretch of these great green states, and make America again. I may be elected president, I may end my days in extreme poverty, which is nothing to be ashamed of. I may end up locked up in a prison or a mental hospital on trumped up charges, or maybe I will be found floating in some river. That part of our struggle is totally unimportant for you. What I promise you is that Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, the families of Windsor, Saab, Walton, Koch, Rockefeller, and DuPont, and the rest of that crew of techno-tyrants and bio-fascists in Washington and in Berlin, in Tokyo and in Moscow, in London and Beijing are going down. They will be punished and their true crimes made known to the world. We do not care how many politicians they own, how many billions of dollars they claim to possess, or how many celebrities and authorities they keep as pets. We must struggle with the old enemies of peace: business and financial monopoly, speculation, reckless banking, class antagonism, sectionalism, and war profiteering. They consider government of the United States as a mere appendage of their own affairs. We know now that government by organized money is just as dangerous as government by organized mob. Never before in our history have these forces been so united against one candidate as they stand now. They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred. Thank you.